Well, it's just us. That's great. I'll tell you about what I've been up to.
I think we're officially live. This is where I don't know whether or not it's playing on the YouTube stream or not. It doesn't look like it's playing, but this is what I was saying. Like, I have no idea
Gotcha. Yeah,
how
trial
this
by
stuff's
fire.
gonna. I have the YouTube open in another channel, but it doesn't look like it's started or anything.
Yeah, you may need to press a button on your studio management page.
It says, oh, wait a minute. Okay. In the YouTube itself, it says, oh, wait a minute. Okay. YouTube itself. All right, I gotta mute this. Okay, yeah, so we're definitely live now. All right. First and foremost, Shackley, thank you so much for being here, aka Finn Surf from the crypto Twitter timeline. If you guys haven't gotten a chance, I followed you back today. Thank you for following me. I had no idea like who's following whatnot, but appreciate you being here. So this is just my FAFO edition of Coach's Corner, where I just ideally want to have maybe like a 30-minute, maybe an hour max, like for anybody who wants to be, on a StreamYard show with me, just to talk about whatever. It could be just about Kujira. It could be about just life shit in general. I'm 48 years old. I've got a good bit of experience under my belt, and people often say I have good wisdom to dispense. I also have some good whiskey to dispense on today's episode. I did promise that I would try and figure this out while drinking whiskey, and seeing this is the first time I've ever actually done this, I'm actually opening a brand new bottle of whiskey. So if anybody likes bourbon and rye that ever watches this, I'm actually having an Elijah Craig. It's a private barrel, foolproof, from the place I get all my bourbon and rye from. But anyhow, so what's up? What's good with you, Shackley? How you been? How's your day? Happy Friday.
Thanks. Yeah, let's see. I've been learning. I've been getting back into web application development thanks to Team Kujira. Back in
Nice.
January, Hans mentioned for new projects we should look into the Phoenix Elixir web framework system, and I was really happy to see that. The Elixir is a functional language, whereas JavaScript is a object-oriented type of language, and functional languages can get a lot more done with a lot less code, and it ends up being a lot easier to work with if it's a good framework you're working with. So yeah, I've been studying that all winter, and I'm about to begin building one or two applications, and hoping to figure this out to be able to launch them on the Kujira chain.
Yeah. So wow, you not only build surfboards apparently, but you build apps too. That's amazing. I do
Yeah,
not have that skill set at all. Either of them actually. That's really cool. And it was funny when you said you started off with "I'm learning." I was like, there you go. Like you're off to a great start, right? If you're learning something, then
good point.
you're always in a good place right there. Well, anyhow, cheers to your learning, and looking forward to see whatever you're building on Kujira. Let me ask you this, because I realize I'm still relatively new to the ecosystem. What do
Mhm.
you love about Kujira? Like, what is it about just this blockchain, this community for you that you've really enjoyed so far?
Uh, from the first time I found them, what first got me interested in what they're doing is the Orca application being the first example of a new way to do DeFi, given market a softer landing if you're able to have people bidding on liquidated assets instead of just throwing it all to the bots. So that got me interested, and their actions ever since have just confirmed my belief in their integrity, their ability to build innovative things, their commitment to their mission, and that they're not going to do us wrong. Maybe a tough road right now, but yeah, they're quite an inspiring team.
Yeah, I think I feel that sense too. And so were you then part of, like, back in the Luna days when it originally was on Terra Luna as Orca just first started?
Yes, yeah. I had finally made some coin off of a bull run, and then I'm not an expert trader, but at least I love crypto enough that it makes me enough money here and there. And yeah, that was a traumatic event seeing the whole crash happen. I was barely able to save much or any of my my bags. So yeah, that was epic experience to go through that summer, middle of working a job, hot August, seeing Kujira come back from the ashes, make us some coin again.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually same. Like I held Luna, and because it was all staked, I couldn't get it by the time it evaporated to nothing.
That's cool, yeah.
And you know, and then I think at the UST I had some of that like still an anchor where I could salvage that before like the DPEG got too crazy, but I still didn't know, like I wasn't, my problem in general is that I'm not one who I'm a wide and varied investor. So like I mean, predominantly, you know, my wife and I, like our portfolio is still mostly Bitcoin and Ethereum. We're kind of just like old school and simple in that respect. And I'm also not much of a trader as well. Like I just am a stake it and forget it kind of guy, which that's why my Luna went to zero basically. And you know, so I didn't really do a whole lot in the ecosystem, and I kind of wish I had discovered Kujira early on, like even in the Terra Luna days, despite the unfortunate like outcome of all that. But to your point, that's the thing I think I love about just like the team and the community that surrounds them. Like from the moment, I would say it's probably been like, I think I bought my first bit of Luna like in September of last year. So it's probably been like 8-ish months at most. And so I sometimes, like I was helping Daniel do the docs for the Kujira. Like I was just helping him edit them. And I was going through the documents, and I kept sending Daniel screenshots of like Kujira at 40 cents. And I was like, man, I wish like I DCA'd into Atom like through 2022 or 23 rather. And I was like, man, I really, and it's funny too, because like a year ago, do you know, his name is Molecular Dot. So I'm kind of like a Polkadot native, and Molecular Dot was like really big into Kujira, but he also like Polkadot. And he first reached out to me like a year ago, and he had this idea, and I hooked him up with some other people on the Polkadot ecosystem, but I didn't really look into Kujira, and I fucking kick myself now for not like when he said, oh, like, yeah, I want to do this thing with Kujira. And he was working on really interesting things. Like he wanted to use it as a payment platform to like pay people in the real world. And you think that would have been enough to get me to want to like dig a little deeper. And I think that's the thing I love about like Kujira. Like my tagline, if I have one, is be your own bank, because like it offers everything you need for DeFi. Like, and again, I know some people are like, oh, we don't have perps, but I'm not a trader. Like, I don't really care about that stuff. I mean, it'd be great just to round out the platform. But like in general, I just love how you can do everything you need. You can put your assets to work. You know, like if you are a diversified investor, like that was my first thread I ever wrote, was just like you can put some ETH over here and you can earn something on it. Or, you know, like what I did before was take it as, you know, mint USK and then use that USK to buy coins and that I knew I wanted to hold long term. And then it gives me the flexibility as I peel profits from other positions. I pay off the loan, I take back the asset, and just everything about Kujira. And hats off to the entire team. Like if Dove or you know, like Hans or Brett ever watch this, or anybody else who like actively working and building, like you guys have built an amazing chain, an amazing project and product. And I think people get so hung up on like price. I guess maybe because I'm older and I'm like, I came from investing in stocks and like have a Roth IRA and shit. Like, I just think they're building something that's going to be long-term and sustainable for the future. So
yeah,
like what I love about it.
And another big point about that is it's going to be accessible for anyone, anywhere. And
yeah, like look at all the stuff they're building right now, like the wallet. So you can just like log in seedless, you know, and then you can just on ramp. Like for the most part, I jokingly tell people that like I love like when people ask in the main Kujira chat, like, oh, hey, how do I get money onto Kujira? And my straightforward answer is always, but I'm a Coinbase user. I'm like, oh, I just buy USDC, send it on Noble, IBC to Kujira, boom, done. And now I just have like all this that I can put to work. And it's, I don't know. I know it's maybe more difficult for people who are not more crypto native or haven't been around for a few years or haven't done IBC stuff, but like,
yeah, it's tricky stuff.
Yeah. But I think to your point, the way that they keep trying to iterate and make things easier to onboard users and bring people into the ecosystem, I don't know. Like I sit back and I see the people who are upset about like, oh, it's going down. I'm like, yo, the whole market's going down. Like it, like today, it's so funny how bearish people become. And maybe this is like my third time on the merry-go-round in crypto. Like I kind of did the whole FOMO thing in 2017 and let my bags go to zero. It's kind of like you need that. The second time I was better about it. But and now I just like, whatever, it's just a dip. Like, this is all going up and to the right long term. Blockchain's not going anywhere. DeFi is not going anywhere. None of this stuff is going anywhere. And it always surprises me like how quickly or how impatient maybe people are. I don't know.
Well, that's been the norm this whole time. And we're just in the first year or two of legitimately useful products and techs coming online that can reach a large audience that will use it.
Yeah.
And we're still about to see that. I mean, the foundations have been laid, and with the Sonar app, with the passkey stuff, that's going to make it a lot easier for people to deal with those intricacies without having to know crypto like we do.
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't see how anybody could be bearish on that, seeing how a team is so forward thinking and trying to future proof what they're building as they're building it. It says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, most people are probably in the normal area of being a market participant, and maybe there's just like a certain fraction that has that stronger sense of just sticking to the vision and trying to find teams or projects with good fundamentals and believing them in the long term.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, I talked a lot. Tell me more about like, what are you going to build? You're working on, this language and stuff. Tell me more about your app.
Yeah, so there's the big one, which isn't too complicated, but anyways, these fins I design and surf, they are also the first examples of fins that are 3D printable. Like you can 3D print any fin shape, but my fins are made purposely to be a lot thicker than a standard surfboard fin, and just by doing that, they come off the printer really strong, and you can shred on them. The point is that in third world surf areas, being able to 3D print a set of these fins and just sell them right there without having to do extra work like glassing them with epoxy and fiberglass. Just by being able to print a set of fins with $5 to $10 of plastic, you can sell them to a visiting surfer for 50, 60, 90 bucks. That's 10 plus days wage in their hands. So I've got a computer science degree. I've made some good web applications, but I kind of ditched working on that stuff back in 2016. And that's when I went in just focusing on computer-aided design to make these fins. And that's the big mission. So before I figure out this kind of global surf town based 3D printing fins thing, I'm going to build a more simple e-commerce setup where I want to be able to share my designs with others, let them make them, but just in the crypto sphere before having to figure out all those kind of final details about on-ramps for non-crypto native people. And the other app I want to make has a radical take on our ability to have a chat room. And I don't want to divulge too much about it because it's so simple, and it's just a really easy, low-hanging fruit that I may be able to get a lot of traction with the global surfing culture that I know so well. So yeah, chat application and kind of a peer-to-peer marketplace. Those are the two things I want to work on.
That sounds really cool. Like, how long have you been surfing? Has this been a lifelong passion of yours?
Thanks. Yeah, 30 years. Coming up on 31 this summer. From when I was 8 years old, I knew I wanted to be a surfer, even though I was growing up inland. Just saw a picture of it and it shook me. And luckily, we had a junior lifeguard program at the lake outside of our town, and started going to JGs that summer. I had no idea they were going to give me the training I needed to learn surfing. End of the summer, camping trip down in Santa Cruz, caught my first waves, and I was hooked, and I had all the tools I needed to keep going.
Game over, right? Right after that. Yeah. That's awesome. I like as a kid, we couldn't surf. I grew up in Rhode Island, so like there's obviously not monstrous waves in like New England and the Atlantic.
But if there are waves, they're dangerous and rough.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the water is much colder. I guess if you're in the Pacific, that's pretty cold too. Like we went when I was a kid, I loved doing bodyboarding and skimboarding because there was one town beach that would allow us to do that. we couldn't surf. Like that was just out of the question. And then eventually they got rid of the skim boards, because you remember how they used to come to that point, and sometimes it just slip out from somebody. And I remember somebody that I guess got like a gash in their calf or something.
It could be dangerous too. Yeah, they really run those beaches on they run a tight ship at those East Coast beaches. A lot of rules.
Yeah, so those disappeared, but I always loved bodyboarding. And then many years later, when my wife and I did our 10th anniversary, we went to Hawaii. We did all 4 of the main islands. And there was a day on Maui where we were just so thrilled just to watch people surf. Like it just looked like they were having so much fun, like such a good time. But then you also, even as just like watching it, like it looks like you have to have, like I practice yoga, for instance, and I have pretty good like interoception. I feel inside my body when I'm doing like asanas and stuff.
Awesome.
But you must have to have a crazy control of your body to be a surfer and to do it well, like just to stand on the board. Like you really have to be super present, I gotta imagine, and use every part of you. Probably like skiing. I ski too, and that's like where you kind of have to feel everything at once.
Well, if you have good coaching, it's accessible to many levels of ability of people. But to be an expert, it's up there with the toughest sports on earth. I was actually a state-ranked wrestler when I was in high school. Had no idea I was going to be that good at it. I thought I was going to suck at it, but yeah, to give you some perspective, I placed top 30 in California, and
wow.
And luckily surfing kept that alive in me. I've had some practice bouts over the years since then, and never lost my edge. I think it even got better. One time I tied with a guy who had 10 pounds on me, and he had just placed second in the nation that summer for freestyle wrestling. But yeah, surfing turns out keeps all my wrestling skills alive.
I bet.
Well, it's like flying an airplane with karate moves. When you're surfing really good waves and really sending it.
Good analogy. Although I have to just only imagine what that would be like. But that sounds pretty impressive and really cool. Especially like California's a massive state. So for the fact that you got that highly ranked, mad props, man.
Yeah, my coaches pointed it out to me. They're like, Todd, California is a massive state, meaning you're kind of nationally ranked since you're able to get to the state level here. And that was nice. It was cool to get that input from them. But so these days I've been keeping the skills alive with surfing. Just got dreams of being able to get some recurring income working so I can spend more time abroad, spread the fins magic.
So in those third world countries, for instance, like when you mentioned the bases that it would be easy for them, like would they have access to the printers to do that stuff, or is that going to be also like the thing that you're going to try and help them overcome?
Both. I know people in Peru, Argentina, Ecuador, where they could find a printer and make some fins. But yeah, great question. I see a way to kind of create, maybe with the DAO within a DAO kind of tech, we could help groups of people organize a fund that's going to fund the printer, and maybe these people bringing a printer to a surf location are going to get payback by getting some surf tours, food and stay, whatever the community or person can offer to offset or pay for the cost of one of these printers. And if you build a simple open source kit these days, you can make a good printer for just $300 in parts.
That was going to be my next question. Like, how expensive are they? But that's actually not that bad.
Yeah, most of them are pretty big and pretty difficult to transport. But there's a kid or like a young guy that's got an open source project going that he's created a printer that fits inside a simple 1 kilogram filament spool. The filament spool is just like 11 inches in diameter, you could say. And this printer folds out and has a unique geometry that it can print well-sized prints. So yeah, those are possibilities. Just got to get a simple first working version going, and that opens up room for working on the bigger stuff.
Yeah, man, I hope you get there. That sounds really cool. I mean, especially because I got to imagine as global as surfing is, to your point, like people go, who are really into it, they will travel just to go surf in certain locations in the world and everything. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it's wild to be a part of it. There's even I'd say we've got a lot of political power in just that the waves are our homes, and there's active effort to protect them from being destroyed by development or pollution. And so there may be some there should be some big power in that if we can figure out how to organize on an international level better.
Do you have like a group that you like constantly network with in other locations around the globe?
Well, yeah, I'm in touch with a number of surfers and could be actively working with a number of groups. Just got to get this kind of network part of the equation off the ground. But yeah, for now, I've got my fins in Buenos Aires. The lifeguards there love them. People, they want more. I've got a father-son duo in the UK, actually. Father's retiring, son's in engineering, and they'd be interested in creating their own 3D printing factory to be like one of my marketplaces. So yeah, a lot of potential, a lot of connections already. Just got to lay this foundation of a peer-to-peer marketplace.
So, oh, you gotta go ahead.
Just real quick, I was gonna say before I forget, if you want to see my fins, it's
I have your like the banner thing that you typed in as the comments. I put fins.surf. What I was gonna, my next question was actually gonna ask you, like, what is it about the fin? Like if you know, because I think of the board and the fin as being one piece. I didn't even realize that like fins were something that were separate or that you could change out. So is it something to do with just like the shape of the fin that affects the ride, or can you tell me more about that?
So I cut out there for a bit. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I saw this other account came in, Fin Surf. So
Yeah, just figured I'd make my website the name, so if people are paying attention, they'll see it. flying by the seat of my pants as well for this stuff, but I got to get used to live streaming. It's fascinating. Good question. I first got inspired to do this because Future Fins, a major fin company, had introduced a better version of fins by just using a better airfoil as the basis of the shape for the fin. And they explained the tech of it for a couple of years. Few people paid attention. They just wanted good fins. And my favorite models went out of production. But anyways, it was plugging those fins in was like putting a bigger motor in your car.
oh,
Like
okay,
better traction,
cool.
better acceleration, higher. Yeah. So like when I say surfing is like flying an airplane with karate moves, you can imagine the same movements you'll see a glider do flying along the wind of a slope. That's what it feels like when you're on a wave. And those fins are acting like wings, slicing through that water. They're creating lift. It's just there's not much effort put into their design in general, and for most surfers, fins don't do anything for them. They just help them not lose control. My fins are the equivalent to like what you'd see on a bush plane, being thicker wings. Thicker wings make more lift and allow you to fly aggressively at lower speeds than a normal setup. And just like that with my fins, they give us more ability in these slow, quote unquote, waves in California. Like my fins won't keep up at pumping pipeline in Hawaii or other exotic spots on Earth, but any normal speed type of wave for here in California, my fins can handle everything from 1 foot all the way up to 20. So yeah, found a sweet spot to generate more power with the shapes of the fins, and then the wings just add to that, end up making what feels like vortexes of thrust off of any kind of movements.
That's so cool. Okay, so like I need to at some point like send me a pic or put one in the comments. Not now because I know you're driving or whatever, but like I want to see what one of these fins looks like, because like again, just a general nerd, right? Like I love science, and just when you describe sort of, you know, getting into the physics of how it impacts like the ride and everything else, and like what you're doing by shaping the fin in a certain way, that's super interesting. Thanks, man. Like I feel like I'm learning a ton here, just because I've never, like I said, no surfing experience, but like, I mean, I know what the board looks like. I've talked to people before, but I've never had this kind of in-depth conversation about it. This is super interesting.
Yeah, I don't think people relate it to the mechanics of flying an airplane often either, but it's a very good way to relate the movement physics of what happens.
And then you layer karate on top of it. So, I mean.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll point out, I'll help you visualize a ride that would kind of make the karate stuff make sense. So you're in a prone position, you're paddling forward, the water surface starts to get steeper and steeper, and if you're in the right spot, the wave lurches from right above and behind you, and you get a trap door opening up beneath your board. You just throw that board down, open up into a standing position, stomp your feet into the board. Now you're surfing, you're hitting 15 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour within a second, and you wind a turn up at the bottom of the wave and send all your velocity is up to the top. And if you got enough, you can bank a turn against the top where you're inverted and you're putting all the strength of your back leg into the back of that board to kick that water, and you can make it explode at the back of the lip of the wave.
That sounds crazy.
So that would be a yeah, yes, that's why my wrestling stayed sharp. I was sad to realize I wouldn't have the skills if I wasn't practicing so hard anymore after high school, but thank God surfing exists. If you know how to really turn it up, it's a great training ground.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And it's funny, like when you brought up karate, like I did martial arts for a long time. So again, another good example of just like having to, and it's hard to express in words, right? Like if you've never had that experience, and of course I haven't surfed, but just in general, when, or I like playing basketball, like when you get in that zone, right? You know what I'm talking about? Like where you just completely feel like you're not really even thinking, like you're just one with your body. Like you're just this one united sort of unified organism that's just reacting to the moment. It's a really special zone to inhabit.
Yeah. That's great. You get to experience that with martial arts. That's great. Yeah. A fun one. I think it could relate a surf move to a karate move. Just when you make a punch or a kick, how you may throw the other side of your body away from it in order to get more extension or to get more momentum for that move. When you do a turn in surfing, the first part of that turn, you rotate your torso away from where you're going to turn. And then that lets you, as you set the turn, throw from for a farther distance that torso weight towards or into that turn. Stuff like that, just the experts figure out. We don't really have martial arts school type surf schools. There's beginner surf schools.
Hey, your fin business could take off, and that could be the next thing, right? Like,
yeah. I hope to help bring better schools of surfing into the world for sure.
That's awesome. I know you said you only had a certain amount of time. Are we coming up on that or no?
Yeah, like 10 more minutes. So do I sound okay? Cool. I'm in the truck driving.
No, that's fine. Like I said, I just only started drinking my whiskey. So, here I am just, let's kick back to Kujira for just a second, because one of the things, if anybody is watching, I was going to do a little demo because I just discovered this. So this is the other thing I love about Kujira. The rabbit hole is so deep. I don't even know it all yet. Like even after 8 months, and granted, part of it is just like me working my full-time job, and like I'm just so busy and I can't like devote tons of time to doing everything. But like and thank you. I want to give a shout out to anybody who was involved in the thread competition for NAMI, which just launched on Pilot. They had a competition. I think it was Dove, Dozen, and I forget who else was involved. It might have been JP from NAMI, that they were choosing like which threads on NAMI pilot strategies, which admittedly I got my ass kicked on, because like I put out my little thread, and even though I was chosen as one of the winners, I woke up like that night. I was in Amsterdam, and I changed my bid because I saw that the 92% was moving. So I moved it, but I didn't realize that Sea Shanty wasn't going to auto activate it, but I did it within that hour. So I was like, okay, good. I'll go to sleep. And I woke up and I was like, oh crap. The only one that was filled was my 90%. And so I just used the same USDC and I put some bids on Fin, and I ended up getting more NAMI, but I ended up winning the competition. So I got some free stuff. I didn't even know Fusion, and if you ever watch this, Dozen, like, and the Fusion team, like, you guys are just like, it's crazy how much stuff they build. So I'm just gonna do a little demo of what. Hopefully I can. Let's see if I can figure this out. Yeah, I wanted to show this window. So hopefully you guys can see this. So I was one of the winners. I did not even know this thing existed. This is Fusion Flows. So I got a DM basically saying like, hey, we put your winnings and you got a little, they gave all the winners a little bit of Fusion, a little bit of Kuji, and a little bit of NAMI. And basically I was told it takes a day to claim. So I just figured I'd claim it all at once. But I didn't even know this part of Fusion existed. And it just seems like this team has done so much in terms of, like, I know they were ones that co-created Pilot. You know, I have something that I've been talking to Dozen about, doing something on the options. But Fusion does all this really cool stuff. And so I wanted to first and foremost thank them for choosing me as one of the winners. I didn't even know what QC. Now here's me showing my flat out ignorance. So maybe you know, and you could teach me, what is QC Fusion? Like, I had this that has been waiting to be claimed. And so I hadn't claimed it yet. There was one that's already at 100%. There's another one that's coming that I guess started that still is, and I figured I'll just wait till it's done. But I'm just gonna claim all these tokens. And this was such a cool, unique sort of thing that I had never even known was something that Fusion had created. Clearly clicking too fast. So now I'll have these extra tokens, which admittedly I'm just, I know that we don't have staking yet for NAMI, but for the Kuji and Fusion, I'll just add them to my stake. But have you ever seen this? Did you know about this? This Fusion Flows thing?
Well, I can't watch the screen right now, but QC makes me think of the liquid staking protocol that's been being worked on by Nutsack, Unstake.
Okay.
Or that's the moniker for staked Fusion, but I think staked Fusion is Y Fusion and YC Fusion. I just don't have those monikers straight yet.
No, because I know the stake Fusion is Y Fusion, so that's interesting. Yeah, but I didn't even know this flows thing. But I just thought of all the different ways you could use this. Like, you could use this flows thing if you had like a vesting schedule, or if you wanted to do some kind of like OTC deal with somebody, you could have it like just dribble out. Like, I don't know, I am just blown away by all the different builders who are in the ecosystem and the innovative things that they come up with, I guess, at the end of the day. So yeah, I just wanted to at least share that if anybody does watch this stream, or if you are watching it currently. I don't know if there's people, if there are comments coming in. I still can't even imagine trying to juggle like the actual YouTube channel and this in the StreamYard, but but at least I wanted to show that, because I thought that was pretty cool that we could do these kinds of things. So all right, let me get this back. All right, so yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for choosing me as one of the winners, but I didn't even know this Fusion Flows thing existed. So I got the DM saying, oh hey, yeah, you won, here's your tokens. And I was like, oh my gosh, another cool dApp that I get to see. And then as I looked at it, I thought, how many different use cases for this that you could create. So it amazes me, all the people who are in this ecosystem and building.
Yeah, there's a lot of great foundational tools available now.
So where are you off to? Are you going to surf right now?
No, I'm going up to the office to help with prep for work over the weekend. I moonlight as a photo booth, a wedding photo booth guy. My friends have a DJ company here, and
that's cool.
Yeah, so we do a lot of events, and I'm one of I'm their favorite photo booth dude. So just taking care of some stuff before the weekend happens.
Dude, that must be so much fun though. Like, seriously, like, I mean, I come from a giant Catholic tribe. Like, my mom was one of 10. And so I'm one of like 26 or 8 grandkids or something crazy.
Awesome.
Weddings are always, man, like, just like the best parties. And so like that's what I'm just thinking, like, being the photo booth guy must be fun. Like you just show up at a wedding, everybody's having a great time. They're getting crazy in a photo booth. Yeah.
Yeah,
That must
see,
be a good
it's
little
job
side
I've
gig.
ever had. It's
That's
a nice,
cool.
it's a really pleasant way to have to do work. Yeah, it's great.
I think that's why I love working in Web3 largely, because I mean, not that I'm going to equate it to being at a wedding every day, but like it's just none of it feels like work. Like my regular full-time job as director of protocol relations, it sounds really formal, but I'm just another dude on a Discord or a Telegram or a Slack channel or whatever, just trying to like help build, Web3.
Yeah, it's a unique moment where these big tools and potentials are available, and it's just a small number of us that have the time and interest and skills to try and help work on this stuff, help grow this next level of what's possible with the internet and our finances.
Yeah. I'm definitely feel very privileged to be in this position. I mean, hell, it's like, 4:36 p.m. on a Friday in Tampa. I'm already drinking whiskey and I'm on the internet, like talking to a cool dude about surfing, and he's making fins and 3D printing. And like, I just never get tired of meeting so many interesting people. Like, it's just, I think this is the other thing I found really interesting about Web3 is just that so many unique personalities. And I think I missed this because I was, like I said, a high school teacher for 20 years. And like
nice.
every year you introduce to like 100+ new personalities.
Yeah,
And they're all young and they're vibrant and they're bright eyed and they want to do things and change the world. And that kept me young at heart. But it's cool to be around just like this atmosphere, this industry, because by and large, most of the people are younger, right? Like I'm sure that the average age probably skews toward like 30, if I were to just throw out a guess, like total.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I feel like, even you, right? Like just you came in here and I'm thinking, oh, you surf, and then you have a computer science degree and you're building these cool apps and you want to do stuff to help people. I taught human geography for like 6-7 years. And here you are trying to help people in the developing world by like being able to do something that's going to earn them much more than the current wage in their country, and they could get their families ahead. Like I think deep down, even at my age, because I remember, I'll never forget meeting a parent, probably when I was like, I don't know, probably 10 years earlier, maybe more. I was probably under 35. I might have been like 34, something like that. And the parent, the dad says like, you're very upbeat and positive and idealistic. And how old are you? And I was like, 34. And he's like, oh, you'll lose that by the time you're 40. And I don't know if it was just like, he's just jaded in the typical, like, 9-to-5 mindset, whatever. And like, here I am at 48 and I feel just as much as I did then, if not more so, because like, I'm just grateful to like be in a position to stand in front of an iMac all day and like chat with people on the internet. Like it just, I don't know. This is probably why I'm the way that I am and don't really worry about price action or care about, like, I think because I see the value every single individual brings to like a social network. And that's what Kujira is. That's what any blockchain ecosystem is. And what I love about like Kujira in particular, besides the fact that it is like this wonderful, all-encompassing suite of DeFi tools for any person to use, is that like everybody I've met here has been interesting somehow, has been creative, has been funny. Like, I mean, I love the KujiCast guys, right? Like, shout out to Danny and Max. Like, I asked them to come on. They were like, "Oh, we're busy. We're having dinner." I'm like, "That's cool. No worries. I'm probably gonna do this every Friday and just like chat with people." But thank you, like, and Shaki, thank you for coming on, like, for taking the time. Like, you were the first person to respond, and you were like, "Yeah, man, I'm down," and I learned something new, and I can't wait to see what you're gonna build and bring.
Thank you.
We need more people like this.
Well, the integrity and vision of this team and our ecosystem is going to keep attracting them.
Couldn't agree more. And this whiskey is amazing.
Nice.
Are you a whiskey guy? Do you not drink at all? Or like, I know that's a new thing where everybody's like, doesn't drink.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I never was much of a drinker. And then in my early 30s, I just went gluten-free and alcohol-free.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah. At first, I just tried keeping it to 2 days a week drinking. I'd never really, I like to get drunk once in a while, and occasion calls for it. I still can, but in general, it just feels amazing to have it as like 0 in general. Once in a while, the occasion calls for it. Now I can tell I like good tequila, good gin, whiskey, and those kind of liquors will make me crazy. But
yeah, I'm very much a man of moderation in all things, and I also like to take my occasional detox where I won't touch anything for like a month or whatever. But after 40, I don't know what it was. I had a friend, a good mentor of mine, gave me like a nice bottle of whiskey at 40. And I thought it was pretty good, but then and then at 42, he gave me another one. And that was the one that was like, oh, wow, I really like this. And I typically only have whiskey on the weekends. I typically only have one glass, but like, something about it, clearly it makes me talk too much, but.
Well, just to balance that vision of me being alcohol free, I do smoke nicotine and tobacco, spliffs, tobacco and herb a lot. I do Italian rolls, nice and thin. I'm good. I feel good. I love it.
When I was in Amsterdam, obviously I had to partake, and my buddy, we were on a boat during King's Day, and he hands me a spliff, and I asked him, I was like, is this just weed? And he's like, yeah. And so like I go to hit it, and it was like a spliff with tobacco and marijuana mixed together. And I used to smoke. Like I used to smoke cigarettes like when I was young. And I hadn't had nicotine in a long time. And holy shit, like the head rush that I got, like after taking one puff, I was like, that ain't just weed. Yeah. Like, oh, there's some tobacco.
That's rough. Yeah, that'd be a heavy hit.
It was all right. It was, we were out on a boat in the canals in Amsterdam. It was King's Day. Everybody's having fun. I already had a couple beers. Like, it was definitely a let loose day. So it was kind of comical in the moment. But I told him after that, I'm like, no, man, I'm good. I can't do it.
I believe it. Well, hey, I'm just pulling up to the office.
Okay. Bro. Shackley, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me. I really learned a lot. I look forward to seeing more of your posts, seeing the fins, however I can try and help with what you're doing, with what you're building out. Like, again, as a former geography teacher, knowing that you could have a serious positive impact on the developing world and people there, like my heart goes out to that mission. So I'm down. I might even donate some USK or whatever to like, for one of the first kits or something like that. Maybe we should do something together to try and like raise some funds to help some people. I'm all about it.
I'm thinking of doing a collectibles release of some sort, but just that'll be after I can get an app going that's usable and
All right, brother. Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, have a good day.
You too. Go enjoy that wedding, man. Go put some smiles on some people's faces. All right.
Yeah.
All right, brother. See ya.
Thanks. Bye.
And hey, I did not expect this to last 45 minutes. I'm sure there's probably like 3 people in the world who are ever going to watch this video. But if you did watch this video, thank you so much. I really appreciate you for being here. If you haven't really checked out Kujira Network and explored its potential, I would urge you to do so. I am very much a long-term investment-minded person. So I really love the fundamentals of what's being built here. I think the groundwork is only being laid now, and a true DeFi protocol that has everything that everybody needs to be your own bank. And I cannot encourage you enough to check out Kujira Network today. Thanks so much if you did tune in. I know it was just a bit of craziness. Hopefully these will get better and take on some more shape and structure in the future. But for now, I just want to say cheers. I hope you and yours have a wonderful weekend, and I'll chat soon. All right, fam. Peace.